Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squad for boxing news and views from around the internet. The WBC is set to give Dillian Whyte a boost ahead of his fight with Oscar Rivas this weekend, according to Whyte's promoter Eddie Hearn. So you can see here on screen, this is a brief article from TalkSport. It says, Eddie Hearn reveals Dillian Whyte won't get title shot until Deontay Wilder vs Tyson Fury rematch. So I'll quickly go through this brief quotes from Eddie Hearn and then on to a few thoughts, because I'm not convinced of some of the timing here, but also is what Eddie Hearn is saying here an acknowledgement that they've sort of backed away from some of the hardline starts that they've previously taken, and I'll get to that and what I mean by that. So Hearn says there will be an announcement this week with the WBC. This fight's going to be for the interim world championship. The winner will be the mandatory challenger with the WBC and effectively will have to fight for the title before May 18. And that May 18 would be May 18, 2020, presumably. So basically, the winner of this fight, continues Hearn, will go on and progress and fight the winner of Wilder against Fury, which looks set to take place early next year. That is Eddie Hearn, Dillian Whyte's promoter. This whole situation with Dillian Whyte and the WBC and this resolution that they've been seeking for some considerable time now, it does make me wonder, because it's coming down to effectively the 11th hour now in Dillian Whyte's fight week. Surely they would have wanted this squared away, could have got it squared away some time ago, but and because presumably that would have also helped sell the fight, because having something meaningful on the line could have helped ticket sales. And we have been hearing that ticket sales have been sluggish, and I guess the proof will be in the pudding this weekend when we see the crowd, hear what the crowd number is. And maybe it'll be one of these events where the lights are dimmed a little bit lower if the numbers aren't so flash. And there could be a number of reasons why ticket sales haven't been good, including prices. Maybe they were too high. Maybe they've overestimated Dillian Whyte's pulling power without a dance partner, because his previous pay-per-views have been against guys who have fan bases, Joseph Parker and Derek Chisora. Oscar Rivas is a bit more circumspect, doesn't have the same sort of fan base as those other two, but also he doesn't speak English. He hasn't helped the promotion one iota, and I guess in some ways, if he's on a flat fee, we don't know what he's getting for this fight. Maybe he has no real interest in helping the promotion do any more than he has to do contractually. But it's going to be a big fight this weekend for Dillian Whyte and Oscar Rivas. A lot potentially could be on the line, according to Eddie Hearn. But some of what he's saying here is just the timing especially. And I'll come back to some of the other issues I was talking about before, but the timing. So he says that the winner will basically go on and progress and fight the winner of Wilder against Fury, which looks set to take place early next year. To me, the timing just seems completely off. This date of May 18th that he's sort of thrown out there, and if they're going to face them after Fury and Wilder but before May 18th, it would seem that that would just be impossible and impractical. Remember, Deontay Wilder is going to be facing Luis Ortiz later this year. That has been talked about by PBC Vice President Tim Smith as being in November sometime. So November, and then to getting 2 more fights in before May 18, that just doesn't seem feasible. Deontay Wilder only fights twice a year and has only fought twice a year for a number of years now, so I don't see him speeding up and having 3 fights in the space of 6 months. So effectively, he would have to face Tyson Fury in what, January or February, and then a couple of months later he'd be facing the winner, or whoever, Fury or Wilder, would be facing the winner of Wilder and Rivas. And actually, if Deontay Wilder gets through Luis Ortiz and gets to Tyson Fury, and even if they did have that early in 2019 in January or February, if Fury won, surely there would have to be a rematch that he would be Deontay Wilder would be owed. So that would sort of spoil the apple cart anyway. But I sort of think that Eddie Hearn is maybe gilding the lily here a little bit with the date. I think the earliest that it's realistically going to happen, if it is after, effectively 2 more fights, would be the back end of 2020, which is effectively what I've been saying for a while, that I can't see any, practical way that they could have this any earlier than the second half of 2020, just because of the logjam of potential fights that Deontay Wilder has. And the date of May 18th, the reason that's being used by Eddie Hearn is May 18th, 2019 was when Wilder fought Dominic Breazeale. But as we know, the WBC does not necessarily bend to Eddie Hearn's will. They haven't always made Deontay Wilder fight a mandatory once a year. He's only had 2 mandatories. He's been champion for 4 years. So make of that what you will. So I just don't know how much luck Eddie Hearn will have thinking he can press the WBC on some of these issues, because this whole situation where just bear in mind, the WBC hasn't announced any of this yet. Previously, in recent weeks, it had sort of said it was getting fed up with Dillian Whyte and his promoter, talking all sorts of stuff about the situation regarding the mandatory situation, specifically of Whyte's comments. Mauricio Sulaiman felt he was being attacked and that it couldn't continue, and it sort of, there was a bit of a veiled threat there. Since then, Dillian Whyte has dialed back on the rhetoric a bit, but he's also sort of said, well, it's a bit rich for them to say this sort of stuff, but look at their actions. And the whole thing with Eddie Hearn thinking he might be able to push the WBC into something, this situation with this resolution potentially proves that he may not be able to, because they've been trying to press for all sorts of guarantees and conditions for some time now. And you may recall just a few weeks ago, he was saying just a few weeks ago, if they didn't get everything that they wanted, there would be a serious legal position. And everything that they wanted wasn't just the mandatory challenger spot, and it wasn't just an interim title. They were also pushing one step further. They wanted the mandatory challenge to be brought forward sooner rather than later. And actually, in the WBC rules, there is some scope for that. The WBC can make the champion face another mandatory in a shorter space than once a year. But would the WBC do that? It appears from some of the positioning now, because he's only talking about the WBC mandatory challenge and an interim title, that they've seemingly had to drop some of what they were demanding. And the WBC clearly wasn't able to, or wasn't willing to, bend to Eddie Hearn and Dillian Whyte's will on some of this stuff. And it has seemed like the harder that they've pushed, the more that the WBC has resisted going any further, not wanting to sort of just play into what Eddie Hearn and Dillian Whyte are trying to do for Dillian Whyte's career. Make of it what you will. I mean, the sanctioning bodies sort of, go with the tide. They are never consistent. It doesn't surprise me that they wouldn't bend to one fighter, but then they'll bend to another fighter as well. So we'll see what happens here, because the WBC hasn't said anything publicly at the time of this video being published, and like I said earlier, I would have thought that they would have wanted all this squared away a few weeks ago, especially if ticket sales were slow, because you can market this and say that there's something meaningful on the line, that it's not just a money fight, because effectively that's what it was. Dillian Whyte and Oscar Rivas is not really for anything significant. It's just a pay-per-view where both will probably get paid relatively well. I mean, sure, they've got minor titles and that sort of stuff, but it's not anything big. It's not really for anything significant. So if the WBC comes in at the 11th hour with something, well, that's good for the event, and that's obviously going to be good for Dillian Whyte or Oscar Rivas, whoever wins this. But when they get that mandatory shot, I'd be shocked, actually, if it was before May 18, 2020. It's going to be the back end of 2020 at the earliest. But also, you just have to consider, Eddie Hearn is saying that the WBC is going to announce something. What if they don't? What if they don't? What if this all ends up coming to nothing? Or it could end up happening on the day of. I mean, nothing would surprise me in the sport of boxing. A lot of smoke and mirrors, and, there's a lot of sort of history here, a lot of beef, a lot of tension, the WBC not liking some of what the public pressure that's being put under by Hearn and Whyte, some of the things that are being said. And now we're hearing from Eddie Hearn, who's effectively said some of this stuff just a month ago. It just needed to be confirmed, but it just hasn't. We'll have to see what happens. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.